So talking about CNN's display of pro-fascist leanings last night by partnering up with an organization that is nothing but a front organization for fascism in this country, the Tea Party Express, and putting on display these 8 candidates, not one of whom had a word to say when the audience cheered the idea of letting a sick person die because they didn't have any health insurance. It's I don't know. It's brain fogging. And Ron Paul got booed. I'll come back to CNN in a second. Ron Paul, if you remember, if you watched this garbage dump last night, and I kept looking at it during the breaks here on the program, but Ron Paul got booed when he tried to answer truthfully. I mean, even a stopped clock is right twice a day, right? But so Ron Paul's trying to answer truthfully as to why, if you believe the official story, why we were attacked on 9/11. And he tried to explain, well, the same thing Osama bin Laden said before he was executed. We bomb Muslim countries. We side with Israel no matter what Israel does to the Palestinians. So he got booed. Of course, Wolf Blitzer, the Mossad agent, said nothing. You know, the guy who ostensibly is supposed to be moderating this group of psychopaths up on stage, and a crowd that was just, I mean, I kept waiting to see when they would start screaming for human sacrifice. Wolf Blitzer said nothing. And then this morning on CNN, on what's her name? The morning show starts at 9 o'clock. What's her name? The woman was out for a long period of time. Is it Kara Phillips? She had a panel put together, and 2 men and a woman assessing what happened last night on her network. And she asked a question of the panel: did Ron Paul go too far in his explanation of why we were attacked, if you believe the official line, on September 11th? She asked that. She said, well, did Ron Paul go too far? Kara Phillips had to ask this panel, well, did Ron Paul go too far? Because he got booed. So did he go too far? In other words, the truth is too far. Of course it is. So the answer to Kira's question was, of course. In the first place, CNN is not about truth. CNN is about forgetfulness. But there's Kara Phillips, whose reportage, I think, is probably some of the most salient and valid on CNN, given the crew that populates that network now. But there she was, I guess, because her executive producer, or whoever wrote that for her, said, ask the panel if Ron Paul went too far. And she asked it. And, of course, everybody on the panel agreed that he had. He went too far. What should he have said? No. They attacked us on 9/11, if you believe the official story. They attacked us because we're America. They attacked us because we buy houses. They attacked us because we are not Muslim, blah, 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 which is all utter garbage. They attacked us, if you believe the official story, because we've been bombing and murdering their people for how long now? The first attack, Persian Gulf War, 1991. How many people were slaughtered? How many Iraqis were slaughtered on the highway to hell? Remember that? You don't remember that, do you? No, of course you don't. No one on the stage. The other 7 cretins that were standing there, the neo-fascists who were standing there, not a single one of those sons of bitches, not one of them came to Ron Paul's defense. Not Ron Paul's defense, but defense of the truth. Not one. Not one. And on CNN this morning, their 2-man, 1-woman panel, in response to Kara Phillips' question, one of the men this morning said, well, you know, Ron Paul was partly right. Partly right. Jesus God. As Robert Perry says in his piece of consortium. Among mainstream journalists, there's almost no career danger from offending the American left because, finish the sentence, go ahead. Because the American left is viewed as essentially powerless, has no significant media clout of its own. That is so true. There is not, I'm constantly amazed that my program is carried by the 25 stations that carry it. I'm amazed that there are 25 commercial media outlets in this country that still will carry this program. There are a lot more who carry less threatening so-called liberal programming, but there's only 25 left, in addition to Sirius XM, to carry this program.
Shh. Don't give them any ideas. Shh.
Yeah, don't give them any ideas. Right, exactly. Right wing, as we've talked about so many times, and Perry brings this up again, the right wing has invested heavily both in building its own media infrastructure and financing anti-journalism attack groups. CBS anchor Dan Rather, his producer Mary Mapes, she broke the Abu Ghraib prison scandal. But both of them were torn to pieces and banished from their careers for having the courage to produce a segment on the CBS Evening News that questioned George W. Bush's National Guard record, which everybody who is still able to think in this country knows was fake, phony, a goddamn lie perpetrated on the American people. But then George W. Bush is a lie perpetrated on the American people. So what happens to the people that point out that the emperor has no clothes? They are politically executed. Death to the truth-sayers. Death! Death! And as the Tea Party, tea bag audience last night, coddled and cuddled by CNN, let it be known, death to people who don't have health insurance. And it was the right wing who said that the Affordable Health Care Act, put together by Barack Obama and the Democrats, would contain death panels. And last night, the teabaggers in that filthy, stinking hall, sponsored by CNN, let anybody who was watching that program last night understand where the death panels really are. Somebody in a hospital, in a coma, whose insurance runs out or doesn't have insurance, let him die! That's great. And nobody objected. Nobody. In the 1980s, as Perry points out, the New York Times executive editor at the time, Abe Rosenthal, vowed to steer the New York Times back to the center. New York Times is perceived as being too liberal, right? A lot of people will tell you it still is. Back to the center, by which Abe Rosenthal meant back to the right, to counter criticism that the Times' role in publishing the Pentagon Papers and Seymour Hersh's reporting on CIA abuses, all that amounted to liberal bias. You see? The truth, of course, the truth is liberal bias. And media outlets in this country, from the New York Times to CNN to MSNBC, all of them. Oh, can't have any of that. No. Not going to be accused. Now, I know what you're saying, what you're thinking. Oh, well, Mike, MSNBC has changed entirely. Has it? Has it really? There are a couple of programs in the evening, you know who they are, who try to present from a kind of a weak tea brand of liberalism, the takes on the day or the week or the month's events or U.S. foreign policy. But are these commentators really liberal? And this is I'm not casting aspersions on them. They work for MSNBC, which is NBC, which is GE, which is other corporations, Comcast. Do you think these organizations, General Electric, Comcast, you think they're interested in a liberal point of view? Or do you think that some of their commentators are there for window dressing? I mean, what do you think? I don't know anymore.